Hello there guys! For today's video, I'm going to show you how to make glowing book effect in Photoshop. And also we will dive deeper into using pen tool for creating selection, changing of blend modes, applying of Gaussian blur for glow effect, using gradient tool, and applying curves. So let's get started! So here in our document, I prepare here an image of this woman reading a book. And our goal here is to apply a glowing effect on the book. So the first step we're going to do here is we're going to duplicate our background layer. So going on to the layers panel, select on the background layer, press Ctrl plus J to create a duplicate layer of that. And let's name this layer as book. And with that book layer selected, let's create a selection with the use of a pen tool. So going on to the toolbar, find the pen tool, or you can just press P for the shortcut key. For the options on top, I'm going to set that to path. Now let's zoom this one in for us to create a detailed path around it. So press P and let's start creating a path. So once we already have this path around the surface of this page of the book, now right click on it and then choose make selection. And this dialog box will appear for the further radius. Just set that to 1 pixels. That's fine. And then hit OK. There you go. Now we already have the selection. Then after that, we're going to add a mask. So going on to the add layer mask icon, just click that. And there you go. And then selected on this layer mask, thumbnail of this book layer, we're going to adjust the feather. Okay. So I'm gonna hide the background layer for now for us to see what it does. Okay. So I'm going to add feather for it. Okay. So something around 3.5 pixels is good for me. Right? So let's bring back the background layer. And by the way, if you find this video helpful so far, please consider subscribing to help YouTube algorithm show my videos to other nerds like us. Now the next step we're going to do here is we're going to apply a curves on the background just to make our background darker. Okay? So let's zoom this one out. So selected on the background layer, go to the adjustment layer icon and then find curves. Right? So under the histogram, I'm going to create a point here in the middle and click and drag this one down, okay, to make it darker, okay, creating an effect like this. Let's go back on the book layer. I'm going to right click on the layer mask thumbnail of this book layer and then choose on apply layer mask, right? So the layer mask is already gone. Now the next step here is we're going to change the blend mode of this book layer. So going here, click this arrow down, and then I'm going to set this one to screen. There you go. Now the book gets brighter. And then I'm going to create another duplicate of this book for the glow. So I'm going to press Ctrl plus J to do that. There you are. Now with this book copy selected, let's rename this one as the glow one. So with this glow one layer selected, right click on it and then choose convert to smart object. And then we're going to add a Gaussian blur on it. So still selected in that glow on layer, go to the menu bar, go to filter, go to blur, and then choose Gaussian blur. So for the first blur, I'm gonna set this one into just amount of 15 pixels. Okay, and then hit OK. Now the next step here is we're going to add another glow. So still selected on that glow one layer, let's press Ctrl plus J to create a duplicate layer. Then let's rename this one as the glow 2. Okay. Double click on the Gaussian blur layer over here. Just double click that. And then change the radius into a higher amount, like around 70. Okay. So there you go. It creates that kind of glow. And then hit OK. Let's create another duplicate layer of this glow 2. Press Ctrl plus J. Now let's rename this one as the glow 3. Okay, and then again, just what we did, double click under the smart filters, the Gaussian blur of the glow 3 layer. And then for the radius, I'm gonna set this one into the amount of 150 pixels. That turns the effect brighter. And then hit OK. And the next step here is we're going to create another duplicate layer of that glow 3 layer. So press Ctrl plus J. Now let's rename this one as the glow 4, right? Okay, so just what we did, double click on the Gaussian blur under it, and then this one will be the highest amount. Let's set this one into 400 pixels, and then hit OK. All right, so as you have noticed here that the page of this book already created a glow effect. All right, but let's enhance that to make it more brighter. So we're going to add another layer mask. So go here, select on this, add a layer mask icon. There are. And let's rename this one as the glow gradient. All right, so from that glow gradient layer selected, go to the toolbar and find the gradient tool. So this is the gradient tool looks like. Select that. For the options on top, make sure that you're going to select on the linear over here. Okay, this one, select on the first one. And then for the color, yeah, just click this edit, click this thumbnail to create to edit the gradient. All right, so let's go to the presets under the basics. I'm going to choose the second one. All right, there you go. And then let's go down here from the stops, from the color. I'm going to change that one. Click on this stops here, and then click the color, and we're going to into a dirty white color, right? Or a yellowish color is fine. And then hit OK. Also in the gradient editor, hit OK. And then let's find the polygonal lasso tool. So go into the third tool, first, second, third. Click on that, and let's create a selection, okay, above this book. All right, there you go. So once we already created this kind of selection, now again, let's go to the gradient tool, select that. So actually, we already set that one, right? Okay, now let's create a gradient. So starting from here, click and drag it going up to something like this. All right, okay, let's do it again. So click, now let's make it higher this time. All right, that's much better. And then let's press Ctrl plus D to deselect. Okay, so we already created this kind of light effect, but it doesn't look realistic. So our next goal here is to lessen the opacity of this layer. Go to the opacity. Okay, decrease this one just into the amount of 60%. All right, that's cool. All right, and the next step here, with this layer still selected, go to the menu bar, go to filter, find blur, and then choose a Gaussian blur. Right? So for the Gaussian blur, I'm going to set this one into amount that will make it realistic. So something like 55, I'm okay with this. Okay, and then hit OK. And there you go. Now it seems like this light is coming from the book itself. All right, so we're good with this. Now the next step we're gonna do here is we're going to group all of these layers. Okay, so I'm going to select from the book layer, right, and then until to the layer one. So press Shift, hold it, and then click this one until all the layers are selected from book going up, right, and then press Control plus G to put them in one group. Okay, there are. All right, now the next step we're going to do here is we're going to create highlights and shadow layer using curves. All right, so select it again on the background layer, go to the adjustment icon, and then choose curves. Okay, under the histogram, I'm going to create a point from here. All right, so actually this first one is for the highlight, so I'm going to click and drag this one up to brighten it up. So it's something like it creates an effect, a light coming from the book. And then after that, from the thumbnail layer of this layer that we just created, press Control plus I to invert that. There you go. Okay, let's rename this one as highlights. All right, so after the highlights, selected on that layer mask thumbnail of it, now press B or get the brush tool. For the options on top, I'm going to set the opacity just into amount of 30%. For the flow, it's 100. Make sure that the foreground color is white. And for the brush, we're going to make use of a saffron brush. All right, so I'm going to increase the size of this. And then let's start brushing on the areas that you want to brighten up. Because this light is coming from the book. All right, we're good with this. Now the next step here is we're going to add another curves, and that would be in for the shadows, right? So with that highlights layer selected, let's go to the adjustment layer icon, and then choose on curves once again. Okay, so under the histogram, let's create a point, but this one, I'm going to click and drag this one. Okay, this is for the shadow. So this one is okay. And then from that layer mask thumbnail, press Control plus I to invert that. Okay. So yes, let's get a brush tool once again, foreground color to white, and then let's darken the shadows on these areas. Okay, behind those light effect. Okay. All right, there you go. Okay, let's rename this one as the shadow layer. All right. Okay, so if you want to darken this one, all right. So let's go to this the first curves that we just created. Okay. All right, and then let's go to the histogram and click, and we can darken this one up. Okay, into something like this. All right, there you go. Now I'm okay with this. Now let me show you the before and after. So this one is the before, and this one is the after. And that is how to make a glowing book effect in Photoshop.